Welcome to the podcast, Kill Complacency. Here we inspire intentional living by motivating others to handle hard better. And here's your host, Marty Hofmann.
So this is part 2 of AJ Smith's podcast. You know, he's all about relationships over transactions, and you can really see that, and even just as you meet him. It's fun to talk to somebody from Iowa, my home state. So hope you guys get as much out of this podcast as I did. And as always, live intentionally, make it happen. Okay, so you did all these a couple of years, and now you're into real estate, multifamily.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, especially in 2023, 2024 with higher interest rates. What are you, well, you don't know any better, but but what are some of your challenges? How are you finding deals? What kind of deals are you doing?
Yeah. So I'll just start and give you some background as to how I started. So I started in 2021. Interest rates were like, what, at 3% back then, right? Just insane. Not sustainable for the long term by any means. And I was buying fourplexes, that kind of product, in 1970s, little older product in the Midwest. And so that's how I got started. Not really looking at the macroeconomic situation, just looking at, okay, does this thing cash flow? Can I get it at a good deal? Yes, cool. All right, sounds good. And so started there, and I built up a portfolio of about 19 units. And then from there, I decided to leave Aldi, go full-time into real estate, and just focus on the commercial arena, which I'd been learning about while I was at Aldi and learning about underwriting and that kind of stuff. But now that I'm full-time in real estate, I start to see and understand, okay, here are the macroeconomic indicators. This is what unemployment looks like versus rising interest rates. Here are some of the things that we need to keep in mind in terms of how is the economy doing? How are interest rates impacting pricing, and where we can get deals at in terms of cost basis or, the price we can buy them at. So I was having a discussion online with someone today about this, but personally, like you mentioned, I've seen interest rates between 3 and 8% for my life. Right. But in my opinion, higher interest rates are nothing but good for where we're at. I think we need higher interest rates. I think that will push prices back down to where they're more manageable and where they make more sense for purchases, because they've been inflated for so long because interest rates have been so low that owners have gotten used to pricing that's up here, because debt service still made sense at 3% when prices were up here. So people could just trade up. But I think with interest rates where they are now, it'll force cap rates to go up. It'll force prices to go down. And I think we'll start to see some more deals coming online here soon in terms of value add investments, in terms of various multifamily products hitting the market that pricing makes more sense because there's a little bit more stress on some of these operators. So
tell me about rents, AJ.
Yeah.
You think rent stays strong?
Well, that's a question, right? And it's also the question of which markets are we talking about? Because I think we're looking at Austin, Texas, for example. I was just looking at this today. Rents from the data I saw have dropped 7.4% year over year, right? Yeah. And there's a few factors that are related to that. You've got, of course, high demand from the past, I don't know how many years, let's call it 5 years. High demand have brought a ton of people in. And so that shot rents up because there wasn't quite yet a glut of supply in that market. But now we've had supply coming online, new construction finally hitting the market, and we're starting to see rents drop because there's an increase in supply, and demand, is not in line with that. So you've got...
I think in 2021, Austin appreciated at 44%.
It was wild.
So
it was wild.
For it to drop 7%, it's still really strong.
Right. It's still much higher than where it was, 10 years
and it's still better than 3% a year or whatever.
Yeah. So in terms of strong rents, I think what I really like about the Midwest, it's very much even keel in terms of ups and downs and the market roller coaster, right?
Yeah.
You don't really see that in Des Moines, Iowa. It's very much, pricing is here. It's been here for a while. You don't see the huge appreciation, but you also don't see the huge dips. So for our investment strategy, what we focus on is value add investments. And so we focus on buying a good deal now, adding value to it. And if rents grow, then it's a bonus. But we focus on cost basis at the entry so that we can add value, capture that equity, and either sell or hold on to that long term.
Yeah. Are you guys a 1% there in Iowa, in the Midwest?
Can you use that for rent growth?
Value to rents. Can you guys use the 1% rule?
So typically when I'm looking at deals, I'm looking for between 1.5% to 2%. I know they're typically being priced at 1%, but we're not buying those deals. So
you want more.
Yeah. And we're seeing cap rates around, it depends on the market. Des Moines cap rates are going to be more compressed just because it's a capital city. It's got more immigration into that specific area. So cap rates around there, I think, are like 6.5-ish. Whereas Eastern Iowa is more 7.5, 8 cap.
Okay. Are you buying in Des Moines?
Yeah. So my partners and I have some property in Des Moines. We're looking in that triangle that's between Des Moines, Davenport, and Dubuque, which is just northern Iowa.
Yeah.
So we're also looking at Cedar Rapids as well.
Okay. Yeah. The Des Moines market's really changed a lot, grown a lot in the last decade.
Yes.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, they're I forget the amount, but it's multiple hundreds of millions of dollars that they're developing for an airport extension in Southside Des Moines. So they're dumping money into that area, and it's really cool to see like the number of investors that know about Iowa and are interested in investing in Iowa, specifically Des Moines. I think it's hit a lot of those newspaper articles about like best places to live, that kind of thing. So I think with remote work, as more people have the ability to live where they want, there are more people that are looking for affordability while also still having a lot of things to do in a metropolitan area. And so more folks are looking to the heartland and looking at some of these Midwest cities.
So AJ, how did you get started in real estate? I mean, I know you started reading about it and whatnot. How did you get your partners? How does somebody get started? What are you, 20, late 20s? How old are you?
Yeah, I'm 25. And I got started in high school. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, kind of going into my college years, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, got on that train. And I think from there, it's just, I bought that original fourplex, brick fourplex, and I kind of got the bug, right? I got I know how this process works. I can figure out how the numbers work. And so from there, just kept doing what I could. And then I reached a point where I realized, fourplexes aren't going to help me scale to the point where I want to be. So I started to upgrade that skill set and get around people that were already where I wanted to be. And so I was going to conferences. I was doing just cold call phone calls to people who I saw were where I wanted to be. And the more of those people that I had in my network, the more that my knowledge grew, because the more I had conversations with them about topics that I wasn't really thinking about. And that expanded my ability to speak on those as well. So I think the relationships part, the more that you can focus on those and bring people into your circle that are where you want to be, and hopefully you can add value to them either by a good conversation or connecting them with somebody. I think the faster that you'll hit those goals.
We host a real estate meetup in Oklahoma City, and almost every month I tell them that, like, guys, just go to events like this and meet people. Like, it is so pivotal. You guys want to do this, just do this. Go shake some hands, get some contacts. As a whole, real estate investors are pretty nice guys as far as working with you and wanting to see other people succeed.
Yeah.
And I know there's some greedy ones out there, but for the most part, they really are helpful and they want to bring someone on like you. So
giving, people who are willing to share their knowledge, especially in the online space. I've been surprised by, how many people just share what they know. It's been cool because you can learn a lot from just social media posts that people share. Another thing that I would share as well is, so I go to various conferences. I went to the Bigger Pockets conference, and that was the first one that I went to, and that's where I met one of my partners at. But I go to some of the other conferences, Best Ever Conference, and just being in those rooms, like you mentioned, is a way to level yourself up to where you want to be. Just be there and, interact with people. But just stepping in the room is the first step. So I think finding a way to get in those rooms is a great step forward.
AJ, a really fun one is Fund Launch.
Fund Launch.
If you want to level up, those guys talk about thousands like we talk about millions, and they talk about millions. They talk about billions like we talk about millions. It is mind blowing.
Nice.
So
nice.
You want to do a good one.
It's
level up.
I've heard GoBundance is another good one too.
Okay, I haven't been to one of those, but that'll be on my list.
Yeah.
Well, this is great. You've mentioned Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but are there any other books or podcasts that you feel like are really instrumental, have been instrumental in your life, that you would tell someone else that they ought to check out?
Yeah. So Cash Flow Quadrant is another one by Kiyosaki. I think is a great one. You've got the, employee, self-employed, business owner, investor. I was in the employee section. I've been in the self-employed section, and now I'm moving toward the business owner and investor section. And I'm, like we talked about earlier, focusing on building up relationships with folks who are in those areas too, that have the expertise to grow those. So that's something that I, thinking about it, I'm like, oh, wow, this is actually really applicable. Another one, though, that I would share is The Go-Giver. I don't know if you've read that book.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I'm in a community. Go ahead.
It's red.
Yeah.
I can't remember the guy's name, but that's such a good one. Just give back, and it'll come back to you.
I think it's like Bob Berg or something like that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
No, that's exactly right. And it's, I'm having that happen right now on a couple different deals, but it's just focusing on first the relationship, like meeting that person, really understanding what is it that they have going on in their life, what is it that they could use some help with, and then looking at your network, your skills, and figuring out how can I add value to that person in some way. Not looking at it as a transactional exchange type thing, but just how can I help as many people as I can get what they want. And like you said, it comes back to you. It's not something where you're looking for it to come back to you. It's just, that's what happens.
Yeah. And it's the law of the harvest. The Bible talks about that. It's a real deal. But that isn't your motivation. Your motivation is to just be a go-giver and try to outgive. Think about how much better marriages would be if that was the mindset.
Yeah. I don't have a significant other or a girlfriend at this point, but no, I mean,
can see it.
You totally can. Yeah. Because if both people have that mindset, right, then that just changes the interaction entirely, whether it's business or personal relationships. I mean, if both people are focused on serving the other person rather than trying to take as much as they can, it's just a different experience.
And in that book, the guy's married and he goes and lets his wife share first, right?
Yeah.
And she shares, and he doesn't get what he wanted out of it because he was supposed to do his homework.
Yep.
But it all worked out.
Yeah. So. That's so cool. You remember that part of the book too. That's so neat. Because it's like, it's one of those interim chapters inside the book where they have the lesson and then they cut to this scene where his wife comes home and she's distressed and she's had a really hard day. And typically he just kind of they go back and forth and it's like, oh, well, my day's worse. No, my day's worse. Right. But this time he just listened and he was like, I don't
remember the principle, but he let her have it. And I think she falls asleep crying with him.
Yes. No, that's right. And then he wakes up to a note next to his bed the next day of thank you so much.
Yeah. Excellent book. Everyone should read that one.
Absolutely.
AJ, what do you feel like is your competitive advantage? You're 25 years old. You're killing in real estate. You've been, all these things. What do you feel like separates you from everybody else?
I think it's just a relationship focus, like we've been talking about. It's not focused on the transaction. It's focused on how can I serve the other person in this interaction. So, I mean, I focus on the acquisitions part for my team, and then some capital raising as well. But that comes, just that's what you do when you're going direct to owner, or when you're talking to brokers, is you focus on building that relationship, getting to know that person, getting to know what they're looking for. And so I think having that perspective or that lens going into those interactions, I remember I called one guy, it was a cold call about a year ago, and he owns a couple hundred apartment units in my hometown. And I picked up the phone. I said, hey, Jim, it's AJ Smith. How are you? Something like that, right? And he's like, what do you want, right? Just very much guard up. This is someone who gets cold calls all the time, and he's sick of it, right? And so I had a relationship focus, and I just told him, I was like, hey, I saw that you have a lot of units in my hometown. I'm an investor that's coming up. I'm an investor that's looking to learn about how you built your portfolio, and I would just love to ask you some questions and hear your story. And he paused for a second, and he was like, to be honest, I've never had someone do this. Right. And instead of a phone call where it's just, hey, do you want to sell XYZ property? No. Click, right. It became a 45-minute long conversation with someone that has a booming operation, in my market, because it wasn't focused on the transaction. It's focused on, what is this guy doing? What is he trying to accomplish next? What are some of the things that he's learned throughout his time?
Were you calling to buy a house, or were you?
I was just calling.
I
was just calling all the owners I could find in my local market and trying to build that relationship with them. And I have a couple owners that I've been speaking to that are actually looking to sell now. And so we're having that conversation, but we didn't even talk about selling or buying the building for 7 months. And then he brought up that he was, looking to exit that one. And so we started that conversation. But like I mentioned, it was just focused on the relationship.
That's so cool. Cool.
And it's more fun too. It's like, it's way more fun to have a friend in the business than to just, be a shark, right? To go out and just try
to have a transaction.
Yeah. It's more fun. I think it's something that's more sustainable. And I think it's something that's definitely more well received on the other end.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because they'll do, and you'll get a better deal down the line when one of those investors wants to sell.
Because of that relationship. Yep.
But it's not a tit for tat. You're not mad if you never get the sale. You're just happy to be their friend and pick their brain.
Because that wasn't the point, right? I mean, It's nice if you have it, but part of it is I'm looking to learn from you because you're someone who's accomplished what I want to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's so cool. So AJ, if we're going to wrap this up and you've got 1 hour to live, right? And you've got a final message you want the world to hear. What does AJ have to tell the world?
Hard-hitting
We've
question.
talked about a lot here. We've talked about investing, 75 hard, habits, Aldi's. What is AJ's passion? What is his focus? What does he want everyone to know is his stamp on the world?
I think just looking at the 1 hour to live perspective, right? I think everyone needs to find a meaningful pursuit. And it changes from every person. Not everyone wants to do the same thing. But I think if you're not chasing something that you find to be meaningful and important, I don't think that 1 hour is going to be worth it. Right? Or if you're looking back on your life, it might be at the point where, you have an hour left and all you can do is really look back at what you've done. But if you have that limited amount of time left and you feel like you've chased something that doesn't mean anything or isn't aligned with who you are, I think that 1 hour would be filled with regret. Mm-hmm. So I think really diving deep and figuring out, what is it that I want out of life? Is it I want to have really good relationships with my family members, with people that are close to me? Is it I just want to chase money? Is it I want to leave an impact on my local community? It's different for everybody, but I think having something that is truly meaningful and really reflecting on that helps with that final hour, because when you have 60 minutes left, you're not going to be able to do much. So I think it's much better to, like we talked about at the beginning, right? Just focusing your habits around the things that are really important to you, that fit with your core values.
Have you read that book, Start With Why, by Simon Simpson?
I like Simon Sinek. I haven't read that book, though.
It's really all about what you're talking about. And it's, a lot of times from the title of the book, you can tell what they're about. And that's what it is. It's questioning what you're doing and why you're doing it. And doing it because of that why. That why is what's going to keep you, making those calls or whatever when the going gets tough. You do 75 hard. It's much more than, a 75-day diet.
Right.
I mean, it could be that, but the problem with that is that in the 75 days,
right,
because it's day 76, you're off the hook.
Right. There's no substance to it. There's no reason to continue, because you were just doing the challenge. And I had that when I was training for a marathon one time as I was on 75 hard, and I completed the marathon. And then I didn't run again for a long time because, I hit the goal, right? I did the thing, but there wasn't a deeper meaning attached to that goal. So after that, I just kind of, didn't really do much with it. But like you mentioned, I think if you have something that is really meaningful for you, then you will do those day-to-day tasks to hit that thing and to continue doing that thing. So for me, one of my goals is I want to have a family, start a family around 30, right? So then I can have enough time with my kids and my wife and all that kind of stuff, 50, 60, whatever, how many years.
Yeah.
But I want to have my business set up and, functioning pretty well by then, so I can focus on spending that time with people that I love. And another part is, the 75 hard part. I want to be healthy for those 50 years. So I want to make sure I can enjoy all of those instead of working all the time or, suffering with health issues, etc. So.
But even that, AJ, I would say start with why. If you know your why is to be intentional with your family, you can do that and still not be financially set, I guess.
Yeah.
You just got to create those habits and those barriers and say yes and say no when it's the right time.
Right. Be very intentional with your time.
Because I say it because, we think we have this ideal of I'll have these kids and I'll be debt free and I'll have this house.
Yeah.
But the problem is there's always something else we're going to want.
Yeah.
So it's more about that intentionality within the moment, rather than just once I've arrived.
Right.
That's what I found.
Right. Yeah. No, that's wise advice.
Well, this has been a pleasure. I'm excited to follow you and maybe go to a conference with you someday. That'd be fun.
Yeah. You got any coming up?
We do one once a month in Oklahoma City, but it's pretty small. Just more of a meetup.
Yeah.
I've been to that fund launch this year. I went to Ryan Pinea. You've heard?
Oh, yeah, WealthCon. Yep.
Went to his
in
this
Vegas.
year. Yeah.
Nice.
That was okay. Went on a marriage cruise with my wife. It was a conference on the ship. That was pretty good.
Nice. Hey.
So.
What was that one called?
It's called Family Life. It's called Love Like You Mean It Cruise. It's really good. It's just married couples, and it's basically a conference on the ship where you work on your marriage the whole week.
That's awesome.
Super intentional. It's good.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So Well, thank you so much for your time, and we'll continue to follow each other on LinkedIn. Hey, how do people follow you? How do they find you?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook. We'll also link in the description of this podcast a investment checklist. So this is a checklist that folks can use if they're interested in investing in multifamily properties. What are some of the things to keep a lookout for? What are some of the items that you want to understand in order to make sure that you're making an investment that fits your investment criteria, your goals?
That's good. Well, I appreciate it, AJ, and wish you all the best. If I'm ever up in that area, I'm going to give you a call.
Give me a call. I got some eating places. Jimmy's Pancake House. We'll go for breakfast.
That'd be awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, just wanted to thank you guys for listening to the end. In closing, I just wanted to add that if this message resonates with you, if it aligns with your values, and something in it today triggered something, then you can also look me up on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. We are really trying to help people live more intentional lives to kill the complacency with which they have subscribed to. I know there's many ways which I get sucked in all the time. So if this is beneficial, follow me there, spread the message, share. And if you want to wear a billboard of a message of kill complacency or live intentionally, then check out my merch store in show notes as well. But it's www.mindsetshop.com. Mindset is with an X, so it's MINDXET shop, SHOP.com, mindsetshop.com. Check it out. Thank you guys so much, and have a great one.
Thank you for listening to Kill Complacency. Follow and share our podcast to change lives and inspire growth.